Hi everyone, I wanted to post a quick video to show you I think we have a fix for our SPSS issue with the saving and importing. So I just wanted to post and kind of walk you through the instructions on hopefully this will work and solve some of our issues. So please, if you have a moment, try opening your data this way and let me know whether or not it works. If for some reason it doesn't, I'll communicate that back to PC Help. And again, remember we can continue to copy and paste the data columns, but hopefully this will be a good fix. So I'm on the My Apps page for College of St. Mary. So again, if you can navigate to this, or I'll try to post the hyperlink. Instead of logging in with your normal CSM credentials, I have kind of a new account from PC Help that you can all use. So it's SPSS _ student 1. And the password is test, all lowercase letters. I'll post this as well, obviously, in a course announcement. So when you log in, it probably looks very similar to when you log in with your personal account, but the main point is that they've changed some of the settings and think that we fixed the permissions with the saving and importing feature. If for some reason you're automatically logged into the My Apps, you can navigate up here, which should have your name. And you can do log off, and then it'll prompt you to log back in, and you can change the credentials to this new SPSS login. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the IBM SPSS Statistics 24 once, and it's going to go ahead and boot up here, and then I'll show you kind of how some of these new features work that weren't working before. All right, so we have SPSS open. I'm just going to go ahead and close this initial pop-up dialog box that comes up. I'll make the window bigger here. So again, it looks exactly the same. The only difference is we think we've fixed some issues with the permissions. So kind of the first test is just to go ahead and enter something into a cell here. I'm just going to put the number 1 in. And before, when we went to File and Save As, if I'm understanding the issue correctly, it would just be kind of unresponsive. So now when we hit Save As, I get a pop-up. Your computer may or may not do this depending on your security settings, but I want to access files from this application. I want to be able to read and write, so I'll go ahead and click that. And it will pop up with a dialog box now that I can save my data. And you'll notice here you can see it says Save as Type. The default here is a .sav file, which is an SPSS file. So this works. The only catch is if you want to open this file again, you have to have SPSS open. If you just save it on your desktop, it will not be able to open just by double-clicking it. So again, that's why I really like using the datasets in Excel, because if you wanted to look at it while you're at work or on a different computer, you can do so without having to open up the program. So again, you would just need to figure out where you'd like to save it. So I'd save it probably just on my hard drive. So I would navigate to find kind of my user account here. I could also save it on a flash drive. That works as well. You really just want to tell your computer where you'd like to save it. PC Help said to make sure you save it to your own computer and not to the My App server. So if you know how to do that, don't do it. But otherwise, you can go ahead and save it in your documents, flash drive, wherever you like to save things. So the Save As should work. So again, please give that a shot and let me know if it does not for some reason. The other feature that wasn't working was our import. So I'd just like to walk you through some steps here how we can import data directly from Excel. So I have some data sets that are already saved on my computer, so I'll use those as an example. One thing to point out is that if you're importing a data set from Excel, you cannot have it open in Excel at the time you're trying to import it. So make sure it's shut down, closed out. You can't import something that's open in 2 programs. So I'm just going to go to File, and I know it says Import Data, but I'm actually going to choose this menu Open and do File Open Data. So we actually won't go to File Import Data, it's File Open Data. I know that's a little counterintuitive, but that's why I wanted to post this video to show you. So now it has this dialog box, which again was not popping up before. it asks me where I want to open data from, and you can see here the default is that it's looking for an SPSS data file, that .sav. So again, I'd like to open it in Excel, so I'm just going to change this. You can either change it to Excel, or if you scroll down, you can actually just search in all your files in case you have a hard time finding it. So I'm going to tell SPSS that the file, it's on my Mac in this case. So I have to find my account on here. It's kind of cumbersome to click through. And I just saved some on my desktop. You can tell I probably have too many data sets on here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one from an earlier homework. It was our ACT scores by state. So you can see here it's saved as an Excel file. You can also open a .csv, same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight it and click Open. So in a minute here, it should prompt me with this dialog box. And this is kind of a nice feature because if for some reason you had a really complicated Excel sheet with multiple tabs or multiple sheets, you could select which one. This one's pretty simple. You'll notice here that as a default setting, this box is checked. It says read variable names from the first row of data. So that means it's going to take that first row in Excel and it's going to input that information into our variable view, which is handy because we won't have to do it by hand. It's going to ignore hidden rows and columns. That's not really relevant here. And it gives us kind of a preview of what our data will look like. So we can kind of make sure that it looks like it's going to import OK. And all we have to do is hit OK. So it will give us kind of this output window just saying that, hey, we imported some data for you, but really it's going to pop up a new data file window. So you can see here it looks a little bit different from kind of the preview. It's giving us a lot of decimal points for some reason. Everyone's computer is a little bit different, so it might just be something with my settings. So I'll just go into variable view. And if you're using the import, it's a really good idea to just double check your data and make sure it imported okay. So you can see here that state, it's identified as a string variable, which in this case is okay because it's the name of the state. We typed them out. So we don't really need to change that since it's not numeric. Our other variables imported as numeric, which is great, but you can see for some reason it's giving me 15 decimal places. So I'm just going to go ahead and change that to 2. That's kind of standard. Sometimes I give you data with no decimals. It doesn't really matter. And you can see here state is nominal because it's not really coded numerically. The rest of these are all scale. So now when I go back to data view, it looks much nicer without all those extra decimal points. So that's one example of kind of how you can import from Excel. It's pretty easy. Again, I guess copying and pasting doesn't take that long either. The really important issue is when you get into larger data sets. So for your final projects, for example, there's quite a few variables in those data sets. So you could try importing the whole thing and picking kind of the variables you'd like to work with. Or if it's easier, it might just be helpful to kind of select your variables ahead of time and just copy and paste those columns. So either way, both of those work. So if you have a chance, please take some time, try the save as command and try that file open data command and see if you're able to import something from Excel into SPSS. So hopefully this will be a good fix and we can kind of look at how to get these settings transferred to everyone's accounts eventually. So when you go to do your dissertation, you'll be set up for success. So I'll go ahead and post all this as an announcement, and if you have any questions, please reach out to me.